AngryMarks.com/chat. It's starting to fill up, and I'm glad to see all these people here listening to the show and chatting with us, the hosts and the producer. Everybody's just getting involved. So let's just get this show on the road. Let me ask you, King J, as usual, my question of the day before we start running down the show. What did you think of SmackDown this week?
I enjoyed it. After the past couple weeks of it being up and down and me being confused on why things that should be on Raw or on SmackDown, I was actually sat back, enjoyed the show, and had my attention pretty much throughout the entire night. It was good.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree, and that's why there's so much fire in my voice today. It's just SmackDown put me in a really good mood. I watched it this morning. I enjoyed the show. I mean, everything from top to bottom was just fantastic. My excitement is even pouring in the chat room with all, as pointed out, with all capitals and exclamation points. I actually did like this show because we have some new stuff going on. Nothing is recycled.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. And we might as well start right away, and I might as well start right away saying that thank you, WWE, for listening to this show. Because we now have new contenders for the World Heavyweight Championship. The Big Show returned, and he wants a spot. He wants to be the World Heavyweight Champion. And he even reminded us that his last title reign lasted 45 seconds. Continuity. Okay. I'm amazed.
After 2 months of trying to locate Big Show, doing milk cartons, having Suge Knight go do a world tour trying to find him, he finally pops back up. I didn't watch Raw, so seeing him beat the crap out of Brodus Clay and Tensai, I was like, wait, they brought the Big Show back? And then on SmackDown, he just ran down, I want the title. That's what you need. I was like, okay, so they're taking this. I was like, they're taking this serious. The whole Big Show's not going to be a big joke anymore. They're taking it serious so far.
Yeah, and the more serious Big Show is, as a heel, is just, top notch because as a babyface, he's okay. He just makes everything look little less believable. It's hard to suspend disbelief when Big Show's a babyface and he's getting the crap kicked out of him. But when he's a heel, he's just so dominant and he just basically engulfs everything that his opponent is trying to do, and he's all over it. And that's why I love Big Show as a heel. And the fact that he is this big giant, this big 450-pound, 7 tall, massive a man, wants to be the world heavyweight champion. I've been crying this for weeks, and his little run for the WWE title he's had over the summer wasn't really much, especially since he hasn't been seen since SummerSlam in the triple threat match with CM Punk and John Cena. So to see him come out here, I enjoyed it. And the fact that Randy Orton came out because, they were scheduled to have a main event match, that both of them want to be world heavyweight champion, is just what I've been screaming for the past month or two. I want to see guys who want to be champion.
Exactly. Because when you have the same recycled feud over and over and it goes nowhere and it stops being interesting, you kind of wait, so what are the other people who are typically in the main event doing right now? Are they just sitting in the back collecting dust? Are they working a second job like they work at TNA? What are they doing? And to have Big Show finally pop back up and be like, my last title reign sucked. The guy who beat me, his title reign sucked. I'm ready to take my title back. and I don't care who I have to go through to get it. And Randy Orton came out there and basically said the same thing. You're not getting a title shot because you haven't beaten me. Which set up a nice segue for the main event later on in the night.
Yeah, and the fact that not many people are going to remember about that part of Big Show, because if you think about it, it's all coming full circle. Big Show wanting to be world champion. There have only been 4 world heavyweight champions since December. We've had Mark Henry, who lost the title to Big Show, in which Daniel Bryan immediately cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then now we have Sheamus. So Big Show was last champion in December, and we've only had 2 other champions since then. And if you look at the other side with CM Punk, these long title reigns are something we haven't seen and something we're not very used to, but it's also refreshing. You know, some people say, "Oh, I'm so sick of this title reign. I want it to end right now." And, you know, other people are on the other side of the fence saying, you know, I'm happy to see someone hold the title for a long time and not just be a transitional paper champion. So yeah. I like that Big Show is now, like, he wants to be back in that spot, because when he was that champion for 45 seconds, it was a joke.
Yeah. I definitely think that long title reigns have their spot. If it makes sense, sure, give the person a 6 or 7 month title reign and not a 29-day title reign over like 2 title reigns like Mick Foley. Give them something to build upon. Even though, like, true, there are those people who don't necessarily need a title reign to stay credible or whatever. But I think with CM Punk's case and Sheamus's case, they both had such different title reigns that it makes it interesting seeing the lack or the continuity of feuds that they've had over their championship reign.
And Randy Orton is always going to be in that main event title spotlight. You know, that's not going to change. So the fact that he's in a number 1 contenders match, it makes sense. But, you know, we'll get to that in the main event match later on. But I do love that the fact is just people wanting to be champion. And we've been saying this about Alberto Del Rio, how they've been dangling the title over him and never put it on the guy. He even came out after Orton and Show had their confrontation. I'm so glad that Del Rio is not in the title picture anymore, since, you know, WWE gave up on him in that little spotlight. I like that he did come out and say that he still deserves to be champion, but the fact that he just got an RKO for it, it made up for him coming out and interfering.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because he came out there and said, well, I'm still technically deserving of a title shot. And it's like, dude, your times came and went. You've gotten like, what, 3 or 4 title shots over the past 6 months. You go to the back of the line now. Somebody else's turn.
So, SmackDown, speaking of championships, the first match on the card was the United States Championship on the line as Antonio Cesaro defended it against Santino Marella. I must say I actually did like this match. It wasn't too jokey, and there was no Oksana since Antonio broke up with her last week. So we didn't have the stupid Cobra trying to veer its way to her. None of that silliness. I mean, we still had the Cobra come out, but, you know, it didn't happen. I liked the fact that Antonio threatened to hit the neutralizer from the second turnbuckle, but Santino countered it and tried a top rope headbutt. Since it's so funny seeing Santino on the top rope in the first place, because you can't even go up to the second rope. But I did like this match. Antonio Cesaro retained the championship. Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they gave Santino another title shot, because he beat Antonio last week on SmackDown. And I was like, wait, they're seriously giving him another title match? Antonio better win this, because if they put it back on Santino, I'm going to have a moment. And thankfully, Santino lost, and Cole just did a brief little blurb about Oksana, saying that she's heartbroken and devastated because Antonio quit her last week and blah, blah, blah. And then focused on the match. It wasn't like you said, focused on Oksana or focused on the silly qualities. It was the two of them going out there and trying to see who was the better opponent and who deserved to be champion. And that's all you could ask for with the United States or the Intercontinental title, for that matter, especially when you have someone like Santino involved.
Yeah, and I was almost kind of cringing when Santino was the guy who pinned Antonio last week and then got a title match this week. I was almost cringing of him winning. I don't know. I was not ready for another Santino United States title reign, because we were complaining when he was champion, and the fact that Antonio is a newcomer but is still credible. Like I said, I do like the fact that he retained the championship, and hopefully we'll find some new challenger for the title.
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, because Christian is still injured, and he was rumored to be the next opponent for Antonio after his thing with Santino was done. But they have a lot of faces on the roster. Like, they teased the whole him and Brodus Clay, and then they also teased him and Tyson Kidd. So throw one of them, or throw what's his name, Justin Gabriel, or somebody who's not really doing anything right now, like one of those mid-card faces who needs a push against a decent heel.
I would love to see Tyson Kidd in that spot, because he had a good match with Antonio on Superstars a month or two ago. And
Yeah.
it actually got good praise from the boys in the back.
Oh, yeah. Because the two of them go out there and they know what the hell they're doing, so they can do stuff that someone who's like a year into the business probably can't do as successfully.
Tyson Kidd is just so underrated, and he really just needs a real good push.
Yeah, he does. And, I mean, him and Justin Gabriel, they're a good tag team and everything. But unless you watch NXT, if you can find it on YouTube or Dailymotion or however else you find it, other than that, you don't get to see him on the big shows anymore, which is really sad.
Well, I hope something good comes his way. I mean, I'd love to see him be a champion again, whether it's mid-card or tag team. That way he gets to be more in the spotlight. He was very underutilized with the Hart Dynasty. So,
hell, all three of them were, if you really want to put it out there.
This is true, too.
But I get what you're saying.
Well, speaking of the Hart Dynasty, it's a good transition here. Natalya had a one-on-one match with Buffalo's own Beth Phoenix. Awesome match. Whoever did not go to see SmackDown, go see this match. Any way you can, whether it's YouTube, WWE.com, Hulu, whatever. Go watch this match. Go back on your DVR and find a way to see this, because this was just pure wrestling at its best with two of the best divas on the roster, and it's a damn shame that we don't get this more often.
And it's sad that this was the second longest match of the night, and the second match that got the loudest pop of the night was the two divas, who everyone's been like, what are they doing with Natalya? What are they doing with Beth? And trying to figure out how to get the two of them in the ring. This was the perfect way, which you're slowly trying to turn. Beth face, Natty's healing it up on every show that she touches, and then unless you're in Canada, which is reversed. So seeing the two of them, who everyone's been saying, Beth versus Natty, we want to see this, we want to see this. It was a good match.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.